something really dangerous is happening today, and no one is talking about it. While everyone is talking about politics, war, and the stock market, the EU is trying to push through a new form of chat control today, without people even realizing it. Chat Control 2.0 sneaking in through the back door. Breyer warns, Germany is being dumbed down and sold out. Now they're scanning our messages too and locking teenagers out. Officially, it's called child protection. In reality, it's the end of your privacy. Messages scanned, your photos scrutinized, your phone turns into a surveillance device. And everything is on the line today, yet no one is talking about it. We're going to talk now about what's really happening here and why it's more dangerous than anything we've seen so far, at least when it comes to censorship, control, and surveillance of messages, messengers, poems, and the like. But before we dive right in, folks, smash that like button below for peace, freedom, and decentralization. It's never been more important to stand up for freedom than it is right now. As a thank you, I'll show you this beautiful post. And I've already reported on this topic about a month ago. Back then, that was the big blunder that was about to be passed. And now we've got the next big blunder. Let's listen to what I said back then. There are alarming reports. According to these, Germany is on the verge of a catastrophic U-turn and is about to abandon its long-standing and principled opposition to the EU's proposal for chat control. If this proposal is adopted, it could mean the end of the right to privacy in Europe, and this proposal would then be rejected here as well. Germany initially said, okay, we will not agree to this proposal. Signal has issued a warning here, also saying that they might potentially withdraw from Germany if this happens, if the whole thing goes through. And now the whole thing is moving into the next round, and possibly even in a much more extreme way. There's also a very interesting article about this by Patrick Breyer, a digital freedom fighter. It also says here that what's happening is a first-class political deception, warns Breyer. Germany, after loud public protests, said no to warrantless chat control. Now it's coming back through the back door, disguised, more dangerous and comprehensive than ever before. Germany is being taken for a fool, and there are 3 crucial poison arrows here, which we can all take a look at. So, 3 really extreme measures are being enforced here, and everyone should know what's coming our way. Potentially mandatory chat control, disguised as risk mitigation. That means, very concretely for you, they can still be forced to scan all private messages, even with end-to-end encryption. That means every message, every photo, every voice note could theoretically be scanned by algorithms. This effectively abolishes digital privacy of correspondence and makes us completely transparent. And this is really the most extreme point here. Even client-side scanning, or CSS, could soon be mandatory on our smartphones, marking the end of secure encryption. And you'll have to excuse me for a moment, the electrician is here right now. He's changing the cables in the background, so that's why the power is out at the moment. But hey, I have a question for you about client-side scanning. Can you explain to me why this could be really problematic, or if it's even a problem at all, or maybe not a problem? What's the danger in it? And maybe also explain what exactly it is.
Sure, I'd be happy to explain it to you. So, client-side scanning basically means that your messages or content are scanned directly on your device before they're even encrypted and sent. Why is that problematic? Well, the fundamental problem is that it undermines the whole idea of end-to-end encryption. Normally, this encryption protects your messages so that no one except the recipient can read them. But if your device is already scanning them before the encryption even kicks in, then you basically have no real privacy left. The danger here is that these on-device scans could be abused, for example by faulty algorithms that trigger false alarms, or by potential security vulnerabilities that could be exploited by hackers. Basically, you're opening a backdoor that nobody really wants, because it puts all private communication under general suspicion. In short, client-side scanning is problematic because it undermines the security and confidentiality of your communication and introduces a new level of surveillance that many consider extremely dangerous.
But then why is the EU even doing this? There's really no benefit in it for us.
That's exactly the sticking point that many critics also bring up. Officially, the EU argues that such measures are meant to protect children. The idea behind it is that this way, you can better combat the spread of abusive images or criminal activities, because suspicious content can be detected right at the source. But the real catch is, for ordinary citizens, this doesn't actually offer any direct benefit. Instead, it brings serious disadvantages. Basically, it's an attempt to introduce more surveillance and control in the name of security, but it comes at the expense of everyone's freedom and privacy. Critics like Patrick Breyer say that this opens a door that, in the long run, paves the way for more and more government interference in our private communications. And that's the point, why it's so problematic. Because it's not just about security, but about the fundamental rights of all citizens.
Okay, so we'd be getting scanned again. That's always the thing. Who then? Anyone who gives up security to gain freedom will end up losing both. Then we have the next big danger here: total surveillance of text and speech, a digital witch hunt, as he calls it. And there will be a huge tidal wave of potential false diagnoses or some kind of false reports. So things will get reported that actually aren't dangerous at all. And then you'll end up on some kind of watch list. I don't even know how to put it. He also describes it here very, very well. No AI can reliably distinguish between flirting, sarcasm, and criminal grooming, Breyer explains. Just imagine, your phone scans every conversation with your partner, your daughter, your therapist, and flags it just because the word love or meeting comes up somewhere. That's not child protection. That's a digital witch hunt. The result will be a flood of false reports that put innocent citizens under general suspicion and expose masses of private, even intimate, chats, photos, and videos to strangers. Even today, around 50% of all reports made under the Voluntary Chat Control 1.0 are legally irrelevant, according to the BK here. That amounts to 10,000 leaked chats per year. And that's really the question, whether the whole thing is even worth it. You know, giving up the privacy of thousands of people for thousands of false alarms, just so maybe 3 or 4 cases of potential criminal activities or something like that can be fixed here. That means you always have to consider proportionality here. Yeah, of course, there are a lot of people who might do stupid things. Sure, that's not cool. But if millions of people are basically being spied on for no real reason, then that's really, really problematic. And call me a cynic, but maybe there's even more behind it. Because we're living in a failed state. We're in a fourth turning. We have a lack of fiat currencies, collapsing monetary systems, and so on. And somewhere, the state has to protect itself so that the failing system doesn't completely crash. So you have to control people, maybe keep them from certain things. These are the kinds of things that often happen. Like, first you build up wealth registers, then you implement a digital ID, then a digital euro, and then chat surveillance. And then, of course, it's easy to introduce capital controls. Then you can tax people even more effectively. Then you can inflate them even more easily. So there's a whole chain reaction that comes with it. Now we even have warning number 3, digital house arrest for teenagers. The end of anonymous communication. In the shadow of the debate about chat control, 2 more far-reaching measures are set to be implemented. Honestly, this sounds like something out of a dystopian movie. Abolition of the right to anonymous communication. In order to identify minors as required in the text, every citizen would in the future have to present their ID or have their face scanned to open an email or messenger account. I mean, now we've basically arrived in China with all this face scanning and stuff, and that's yet another problem. There are these honeypots. What if these databases ever get leaked or hacked or something? Then good luck. You'll be getting hit by all the scammers out there. You'll start getting all kinds of messages here. Or there are even identity thieves who will steal your identity and other personal info, sell it, or do who knows what else with it. This is basically the end of anonymous communication on the internet. It's a disaster for whistleblowers, journalists, political activists, and people seeking help who rely on the protection of anonymity. And that's exactly the point. Now, there are always people who say, well, I have nothing to hide, and so on. And yeah, most people aren't doing anything bad, but the problem is, who gets to decide what's considered bad, and so on. Julian Assange, they locked him up too, just for exposing the fact that the US might have done some, well, let's just say, questionable things. And there are other whistleblowers as well. And without these whistleblowers, a lot of things might never come to light. And if anonymity is gone, then you can't really do these whistleblower things anymore. Because otherwise you'll just end up behind bars right away. But of course, that's great for the state. It's also great for the people here in the EU who want to control you even more. But it's definitely not good for the citizens here. Digital house arrest for teenagers under 16. The text threatens a blanket ban from WhatsApp, Instagram, online games, and countless other apps with chat functions. Digital isolation instead of education. Exclusion instead of empowerment. This is patronizing. out of touch with reality, and makes no sense educationally. And the thing is, we all know bans have never worked. We can see that throughout history. Bans are always a very, very socialist measure. Yeah, it just doesn't make sense. The coalition needs to show some backbone here now. Block this sham compromise in the council and demand immediate corrections to save the freedom rights of all citizens. This really concerns every single one of you. The EU Parliament has shown, across party lines, how child protection and digital freedom can work together. And now there are three main demands. No mandatory chat control through the back door. This article needs to be clearly amended here. No scans can be forced as a risk mitigation measure. Blah blah blah. No AI chat police. Scans must be limited to known abuse images. No mass surveillance. Only targeted surveillance. Here, the right to anonymity matters. That's exactly what I always tell you. Here, privacy is a human right, not just something you should carelessly put at risk. They're selling us security, but delivering a total surveillance machine. They promise child protection, but end up punishing our children and criminalizing privacy. This isn't a compromise. It's a betrayal of the citizens. Germany must not become an accomplice. And the problem is, we see these tendencies everywhere, not just when it comes to chat messages. We see it in the financial system too. I mean, why do these bureaucrats, for example, dislike Bitcoin so much? Yeah, because it's hard to censor, hard to control, and hard to monitor. And what do these bureaucrats want? They want more control. They want more surveillance. They want more of everything. Yeah, with regulation and all that. Anything that's decentralized, anything they can access, that's a big problem for them. We've also found out by now that Pavel Durov was locked up in France because he refused to censor here. That means, at this point, it's actually a crime not to censor chat messages. At least, that's how it seems to have been in Pavel Durov's case. He simply didn't want to say here that he would delete messages, censor messages, or exclude people from the network. And then they just said, okay, hey, come on, we're going to put you in pretrial detention. And to this day, he still doesn't really know why he was in pretrial detention. So really terrible developments. That's why it's all the more important to rely on decentralized technologies here. Nost is a big example of this. I was just at a Bitcoin conference, and Nost was also a big topic there. That's worth checking out. It's an important topic. I need to spend more time on it myself. Bitcoin is important. Freedom money, decentralized, can't be shut down, no chat control. I'll link to 21 Bitcoin below, where you can buy Bitcoin, use the Bitcoin Hotel, and save up to 20% on fees. Yeah, I hope the electricians can get it sorted out today. As you can see, I'm sitting here in the dark now, but hey, I actually think it's pretty cool. I always think it's awesome when there's a power outage. I kind of always enjoy it. It just makes you a bit more down to earth. Sort of makes you focus and forces you to be present. And it's not a total power outage as long as I still have some phone battery left and can still make videos. So with that, folks, peace out.